Hey, good evening, and thank you for joining us on the Scabbard. I am Dave Valente, and tonight we are doing a double show. First half of the show, we're going to talk about the World Junior Hockey Championships, which Buffalo has 7 prospects playing in that tournament. The second half of the show is going to be previewing the night's action against the New York Rangers, our final game before we go into the Christmas holiday, the 4-day break that all NHL teams get. So no NHL games until the 27th of December. And so not quite a hockey wilderness because we do have a World Junior Hockey Tournament starting, but all those games are going to be during the day because it is in Sweden. So let's talk about the World Junior Hockey Championship. And hold on a second before we get too far into that. If you have any questions or had comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll bring up the chat here in a moment and be happy to talk to you about those questions. But so let me get that off. There we go. Yeah, so the World Junior Hockey Championships is a 2-week tournament. This year is in Göteborg, Sweden, or Gothenburg, Sweden, the English pronunciation. This year from December 26th until January 5th of 2024. So officially, it's called the 2024 IIHF World Junior Hockey World Under 20 Hockey Championships. The player has to be under the age of 20. I think their latest birthday I think is December 31st. They can't turn 20 until January 1st. If they do turn 20 before that, they're no longer eligible. So. So the games are going to be played at the Scandinavian and for Lundaborg arenas in Gothenburg, Sweden. They've kind of split it up. So Scandinavian is the main arena there in Göteborg, which is the Pool A, and that's the homestanding team. We'll go over the pools here in a minute. Homestanding Swedes and the finals, the playoffs will be played in that arena. The Lundaborg arena is the smaller of the 2 arenas there in Göteborg, and that is where the Pool B teams will be playing. And you'll notice when we go through the pools that there is a gulf of difference between the 2 pools. The Americans really kind of lucked out in this draw. So and the way that they do it, so the draw is based off of last year's final or last year's finish. So the team that wins gets Pool A, and that was Canada. They won last year, so Canada is in Pool A. They're with Sweden, who finished 4th. They lost the bronze medal game to the United States. Finland, who lost in the quarterfinals. Germany lost in the quarterfinals. And Latvia, who won the relegation battle last year to stay up in the into the World Under 20 Hockey Championships top level. If you want to go down a complete rabbit hole, we can talk about the different levels and how people can get up and down the ladder of international hockey. It is a promotion relegation, if you're familiar with that from European soccer. I actually like it. It helps cycle in new teams. A team starts developing their hockey program. They can start going up the ladder and continuing to invest in that hockey program will bring them further and further up the ladder. But there is kind of a gulf in talent between the top teams and the teams that will likely end up battling for relegation. But if you can stay up for a few years, then more people are going to be interested in participating in international hockey in your home country. So Pool A is Canada, Sweden, Finland, Germany, and Latvia. This is probably the strongest of the 2 pools with the defending champions. The Swedes have a deep roster. Finns are kind of on a they've been sliding back the last couple of years with their juniors team. Germans have played tough and have earned promotion each of the years and not really fought in that relegation battle. So they're kind of moving up into that upper tier of teams. Latvia has benefited from the fact that they didn't require during the COVID years the last place team to be dropped down. So they were able to stay up for a couple of years. But they are an up and coming hockey program within the international community. The B pool is Czechia, who was in the cell. They finished second in the last tournament, so they lead the B pool. The United States is in that pool. They finished third. So second and third go into that B pool. Slovakia, Switzerland, Norway. So Slovakia and Switzerland finished were eliminated in the quarterfinals. And then Norway was a promotion team. They were promoted from the under 20 league 1A, I believe. And so they're up this year. And usually the team that comes up is the favorite for relegation. So if you can make it past the first couple of years of that relegation battle, you should be good. But it's been known for teams that have had pretty good runs, like the Germans have had pretty good runs, the Austrians have had pretty good runs, to fall in a hard year and get swept out of the tournament. The United States has been in a couple of times where they've actually had to go into the relegation game and avoid relegation. So it's not, any team can have a bad year, and whether it's injuries or just talent or a combination of both, they can get swept out. So I think it's rather egalitarian. I like it. So but as I mentioned, the Sabres have 7 prospects that are going to be playing in this tournament. And we'll go through each of those prospects, talk about where they were drafted, what teams they're playing for, and give you a preview of their schedule going into the round robin. So first prospect, we're going to go through the Swedes. So Noah Ostlund, who is a first-round pick. The pick that we got in the Eichel trade, the first-round pick we got in the Eichel trade, that was 16th overall in that 2022 entry draft. He's 5'10", 163-pound center playing for, this is a fun town to pronounce, but it's called Växjö. Växjö in Swedish Elite League. Second World Junior Championships, and will probably be on the top line for that team. So far with Jonathan Lekaramaki and some other, perhaps our other Swedish prospect on the team, Anton Wahlberg. We'll get to him in a moment. So far in the Swedish Elite League, he's got a stat line of 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. He did have some injury issues earlier in the season, which kept him out of a few games. He's played 17 games with the Växjö Lakers, and his 2023, so last year's World Junior Hockey Championship, he had a 1 goal, 4 assist, 5 point stat line. I think he was on the second or third line in that tournament for the Swedes, who fell in the bronze medal game. So they're looking to build upon that. I think it was the first Swedish team to lose in a round robin game in several years. The Swedes, the problem with the Swedes is they've always been really, really good in the round robins, winning their group and then crashing out in the playoffs. And it doesn't matter where. It could be the quarterfinals, could be the semifinals, could be even the gold medal game. I think they've won like 1 World Junior Hockey Championship during that entire time that they had the real good run in the round robins. And frustration boiled over the year that Rasmus Dahlin was on the World Junior Hockey Championship team in Buffalo when they lost the gold medal game, and they threw some of them threw their silver medals into the crowd, earning a few players, including Dahlin, an international suspension. So that's the issue with the Swedes. But we got a couple of Sabres prospects on it with Ostlund and one Anton Wahlberg. He's a second-round draft pick of this last draft, a pick that we received in the Erasmus Ristolainen trade. So when you think about that first year that Kevin Adams was the GM, he pulls off the big trades at the draft with Reinhardt and Ristolainen, and then he goes and does the Eichel trade in November of that year, and we're starting to see some of the fruits of that with these players getting into the World Junior Hockey Championships. Next couple of years to start coming over to North America. But yeah, this is the guy that we got in the Rasmus Ristolainen trade. 6'3", 193-pound center or winger for Malmö of the Swedish Elite League as well. Can move up and down the Sweden's deep lineup. They think he might play with Noah Ostlund, but he may slide up and down that lineup as needed. Again, he's a young guy. This is going to be his first one. He'll probably get another kick at the can when it comes to the World Junior Hockey Championships. So we'll see how he does and where he fits into that lineup. He's got, like Ostlund, he's got a 3-goal, 4-assist, 7-point stat line in 23 games in the Swedish Elite League with the Malmö Redhawks, and which, people will say, oh man, that's not a lot of points. I mean, that's, he's a top flight player. These guys are playing against adults in the Swedish Elite League. Some NHL veterans, players that are kind of on the back end of their career, but also playing on larger international ice. So you really have to earn it in some of these leagues. Like they don't just throw because you're a top prospect rookie with a lot of talent. They're not just going to throw you up on the first line. You're probably going to be playing 12, 14 minutes on the fourth line until you can prove that you are responsible enough to play both ends of the ice. So that's why you see some of these top end prospects come over with kind of underwhelming numbers from the Swedish Elite League, Finnish Liga, those type of leagues, because they are really kind of buried in the system. They're also sent up and down. They've got junior teams for each of these franchises. So Vakma's got a junior team. Malmö's got a junior team that these guys will go down and play as needed. So you don't get a ton of stat lines off of these guys, but still scoring 7 points as a rookie in the Swedish Elite League is a pretty good accomplishment. And a lot of these guys will see a turnaround as they come back from the World Junior Hockey Championships, as they learn to play with elite players and can develop their skills and then come back and play better for their professional teams. So Sweden's games, those are the two players playing for Sweden. Sweden will be starting off with Latvia on December 26th, so a good chance for them to get off to a quick start. Then they play Germany, so not a really strenuous, although you always have to watch out for the Germans. Germany can be either a really good team or a really bad team. And Germany tends to always pick off one of the favorites, whether it's playing Canada or playing Sweden or Finland. They always seem to have one game each tournament where they just shock a team that I guess takes them for granted. Then they get tough games against Canada and then their rival Finland on December 31st. Usually, if it's in the if it's in North America, the World Junior Hockey Championships will have that Canada-US game on December 31st if they're in the same pool. But in this case, Sweden and Finland being in the same pool, they'll get that big marquee matchup as they're the big local rivalry. All right, let's move on to Matt Savoy. He is representing Canada. He's the 9th overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft, the first of the 3 picks that we had in that draft. He's a 5'10", 180-pound center, and will be on Canada's top line in this tournament. He did spend time in Buffalo, albeit very short, one game, not a lot of minutes in that game either. But he did have a good run in Rochester, was almost appointing, I think, 5 points in 6 games with the Amerks before that brief recall to the Buffalo Sabres and then sent down to Wenatchee. He is now playing for the Wenatchee Wild of the Western Hockey League. His stat line in those 11 games since he's been sent down, 11 goals, 13 assists, and 24 points. So he is lighting it up with the Wild. You can't say enough about how Matt Savoy's reacted to everything that's happened. I think you've got to be disappointed in how things went with the experiment. You get that you play really well in Rochester, and you think, okay, well, at least I'll get a couple games to show my worth to the Sabres. And he gets like 7 minutes against Minnesota and then immediately sent down. I'm not sure what that was about. It felt rather unfair. And you got to feel for the kid because he's had this happen a couple of years where he's had disappointments. Because last year he was snubbed off the Canadian team, did not get an invite to the camp, and did not make the team. He did have a little bit of a rough start to the season, but he ended up cooking by the end of the year and just really taking over. And then he comes in this season. His line mate from last season, Zach Benson, is getting all kinds of ice time with the Buffalo Sabres, and he only gets a sniff. Now, as we're turned back to the Wild, Zach Benson is up for good. So I don't know. I'm glad to see Matt Savoy is getting a chance in Team Canada, and I'd like to see what happens when he comes back to Wenatchee after this tournament, because if he improves off of what he's doing in these first 11 games, look out. This is going to be an exciting player to watch. The other Canadian player is going to be Scott Ratzlaff. He is a goaltender. He was the 5th round pick, 141st overall in the 2023 draft. 6'1", 174-pound goalie playing with Seattle Thunderbirds in the Western Hockey League. Not great numbers, 8-10-1, although I think some of that was skewed by a couple of really, really rough starts at the beginning of the season. And that Seattle is not the best team this year. And it is hard to judge on some of these Canadian teams when they're having off years, or they've had a cycle where a lot of good players have cycled off the team into pro contracts, and it's really just kind of a rebuilding through the draft and perhaps trades. But 8-10-1 record on the season, 889 save percentage, and a 3.39 goals against average. But he is, he played in the Ivan Lincoln Memorial Tournament and went 4-0 in that, giving Canada the gold medal out of that tournament. He is now, I think, projected to be a backup for this tournament for Canada. But Canada's got some questions in goal, and there's a chance that we could see Scott Ratzlaff get some net time in the at least the round robins. If Canada's goaltending duo that are ahead of him, I think, struggle, and give Scott Ratzlaff a chance. And a good run could get him playing in those medal round games. And then, so really, it's to set the stage for next season when he's going to be a 19-year-old and probably the starter for Canada if he continues to progress. The Canadian games. December 26th, the Canadians start off with Finland, and then they play Latvia on the 27th, Sweden on the 29th, as we talked about earlier, and then the final game versus Germany on the 31st. So, those are your chances to watch the Canadians. All these games, I believe, are going to be, I think the American games and the Canadian games are going to be on NHL Network. But the rest of the games will be on the ESPN app. If you have ESPN Plus, I think you can watch the games. And all these games are entertaining. Check them out. Yeah, there are going to be some ugly ones, like Norway will probably get into a couple ugly matchups. But, when you talk about like Czechia versus Slovakia, Finland versus Sweden, Canada versus anybody, U.S. versus anybody, it's going to be a good game. So. Speaking of Czechia, Juraj Kulich is in Czechia, first-round draft pick of 2022, 20th overall. We got him in the Sam Reinhart trade. So, again, another one of these draft day trades from 2022 that are starting to pay off. Of course, we all know about Juraj Kulich. He's been tearing it up for the Rochester Americans and leads the American Hockey League in goals with 16 before he was released. Hey, Ray, how you doing? Thanks for watching tonight. Leads the AHL in goals with 16 before he was released to the Czechs for this tournament. So, I mean, we all know Juraj Kulich. This is the guy that we're really wanting to watch to see, because the expectation is that a guy who's been playing in the AHL, who's got a cup of coffee, really, I think is at this point almost as NHL ready as you can get. What is he going to do in this tournament? He should dominate. He should carry the Czechs pretty far in this tournament. I'd love to see him get 10 goals. I think that's a phenomenal total for a player. The problem with the rest of the Czech roster is it's not as star-studded as it has been in years past. But I think Juraj Kulich can carry this team pretty far. So the Czechs games this season or this tournament start off with Slovakia, so a good rivalry game to start this tournament on December 26th. Then they get the Norwegians on the 27th, so that a good chance for them to get off to a really strong start if they can take care of business versus Slovakia, beat Norway. They're 2-0. Then they go the United States, which is probably going to be the game for the top spot in this pool on the 29th, and then Switzerland to round out the round robin on the 31st before they go on to the medal round. Next player we've got is Maxime Sturbach. He is a second-round draft pick, number 45 overall in the 2023 NHL draft. 6'2", 205-pound defenseman, so he's got some good size on him. Good size, good height and weight for a defenseman of his age. He is second. It's his second World Junior, so there's an expectation that he's going to have a leadership role on this team and be in the lead pair of defensemen for the Slovaks. He is a freshman at Michigan State University. Has a 1 goal, 4 assist, 5 point stat line in 15 games for the Spartans. Did play well at last year's World Juniors, and looking forward to seeing him develop and really get a good chance to see him for the first time, because I haven't watched too much of the college hockey this year. So see what he looks like, especially having a second year of World Juniors under his belt. Slovakia's games this year: Czechia on the 26th, as we talked about, Switzerland on the 27th, Norway on the 30th, and the U.S. to round out the round robin on the 31st. There's one. Norin Panocha. I think that's how you say it. He's a 7th-round draft pick, number 205. So one of these 7th-round draft picks, might develop into something for the Sabres. Number 205 in that 2023 draft. So just drafted, 6'2", 192-pound defenseman with who's playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League with Chicoutimi. I believe that is where Jason Palmer would have played. But yeah, he's playing in the third pair or perhaps an extra D-man. So 6 or 7 D-man on the German side. His first World Junior Hockey Championships with Chicoutimi so far this season. He's got a 0 goals, 11 assists, 11-point stat line. Not bad for a defenseman. A young defenseman in the QMJHL. And so excited to see him, see how much ice time he does get in this tournament. I think he played he actually got a goal tonight, playing in a pre-tournament game against the Czechs, and got a goal on a nice intercept of a pass. No, that was Strback. Strback got the goal. He was with the Czechs, intercepted a pass, got the puck into the zone, and streaked right to the net and got a nice goal. But Panocha, we'll see how he does, how much time he gets. Again, very young player, probably will get a second crack at it next season as a junior, and see where he goes from there and how far he goes up that German lineup. Germany's games, we're looking at Finland on the 27th, Sweden on the 28th, Latvia on the 30th, and Canada to round out the round robin on the 31st. So let me give you my predictions for the round robin as I see it. Let's take a look at Pool A. I think the Swedes are going to come through again in the round robin. I think that game against Canada is going to be close. Perhaps one of those overtime games where the Swedes get 2 points and the Canadians get a point. Then we go with the Finns. You could put Finland and Germany, either one, if you want to. I put the Finns up there. They should be bouncing back a little bit from a couple of off years. Germany getting into 4th. Latvia, I have going into that relegation game. So if you do not finish in the top 4, you go to the relegation. They call it the relegation tournament, but it's really just a game against the against the fifth place team from the other pool. So, and whoever loses that then has to go down to the 1A pool in 2024 to play their way back up for the 2025 tournament. So they'll spend a year down in the lower tournaments trying to get back up to the main tournament. On the B side, kind of wide open. I think the United States has too tough of a team, but the problem with the United States is they always suffer a brain cramp during this tournament, and they lose to teams like Czechia, Finland. They'll play Canada tough, but they'll play Sweden tough. But for some reason, a team, even sometimes Germany, gives them problems. So, but I think they take care of business in the pool play and take care of and get into that first spot, getting the favorable matchup against the 4 seed from the other pool. Czechia finishing second. Switzerland, they're always an enigma. They if they can get good goaltending, they can probably take that 3rd spot. If not, then Slovakia will probably flip with them. The Slovaks have a young team and coming team. They lost Juraj Slavkovsky, so they're going to have to learn how to move on without him. But Norway, I've got them going into the relegation bracket. They always struggled at these when they get up to the top level of these tournaments. So I'm not expecting Norway to stick around too long. Norway is my favorite for going out this tournament. I think the Latvians have been around long enough that they've got enough battle calluses to get past the Norwegians when it comes to relegation, and if it comes down to a one game playoff. As far as the medal round goes, I'm not going to go through who I think how they rank in the quarterfinals of those teams that fall out, but the winners of the final 2 games, the title game and the 3rd place game, the bronze medal game, I think the U.S. wins this tournament. Again, it's a very deep team. If they can avoid the landmines that they seem to always hit with Finland and Czechia, they get into that gold medal game, and it's probably going to be against a Canadian team. The Canadians, not having played the United States before, well, they played today in a pre-tournament game. The United States won in overtime, 6-5. But having not played them in a round robin game, I give the advantage to the United States. The Canadians, good team. I'm just not sold on their goaltending. And Czechia, I think if Czechia gets into the bronze medal game, they're going to win this game against Sweden. Sweden has shown in the past that if they don't get into the gold medal game, they don't take this bronze medal game very seriously. So that's the order I see. The U.S. winning, Canada's with silver, Czechia with bronze, and Sweden getting shut out of the medals. All right, that is the World Junior Hockey Championships. We are almost on time for just a normal show for the Scabbard. So let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres. I think everybody's confounded as to what is going on with this team. If you told me that on this brief 2-game homestand after getting blown out 9-4, that they would actually have scored more goals or come out with a plus off of this homestand, I would have been like, no, you're lying, man. But going from 9-4 loss to 9-3 victory was very much predictable. I said I won't be surprised if Buffalo wins this game against Toronto, because that has been their MO this season. Have a stinker of a game where they completely underperform, and then play a team that they should get blown out just based off of that prior performance, should just get the doors blown off of them, and they play a hell of a game. Was it a perfect game? No, not by any stretch of the imagination, but there were some good things that I saw in that game that I didn't think that I've always been concerned about with Buffalo when it comes to their play. They get the early goal from Jordan Greenway. It was great. It was a great goal. Great start to the game. Jordan Greenway busting down the wing. firing a shot on Ilya Samsonov, and right there, I was like, oh man, Samsonov's not seeing the puck real well, because there was no way he should have let that shot go in, but that goes in, and then immediately the Sabres get into like penalty trouble, and they get to a Austin Matthews whips a shot and it beats Levi. Um, it was clear he didn't see the puck until it was too late, and it banked in off his pad for a tied game. And then the Sabres get in penalty trouble, go down a man, then take a second penalty. They're down 2 men, and Domi scores. They'll be good tonight. I hope so, man. We've only seen it once where they've gotten back-to-back wins, and will be nice. It'll be a nice Christmas present if they can give that to us. But they didn't let those Leafs goals rattle them. They came right back, getting the power goal to tie the game, and then Jeff Skinner scoring a nice short side top shelf snipe on the feed from Tuck to give them a 3-2 lead going into the first intermission. Come out of the first intermission, they score, Toronto scores to make it 3-2. They immediately score, make it 4-2. On the power play, hey, we got a power play goal, a couple games in a row now. Which is great. Rasmus Dahlin's, walking down the middle. Then we have, because that was a 5-on-3. We scored early enough that we ended up with a 5-on-4 power play just after that to extend that power play. Then we give up a shorthanded goal, and it's 4-3, and you're like, oh, that's a backbreaker. Like, how are the Sabres going to come back from that? How, are they going to collapse? Is it going to be like 4 goals in a row that are quick succession as we've seen this year? And then Kyle Okposo scores his own shorthanded goal to give the Sabres a 2-goal lead back. And then they just continue to build on it from there, getting 4 more goals to make it 9-3. I'm sorry, to just drub the Leafs. They had balance scoring up and down the lineup. It was great to see. They matched the shorties, and then there was some solid physical play from the Sabres. They didn't back down from the Leafs, and in fact, they got under the Leafs' skin towards the end of the game. There was that nice little shouting match with Jeff Skinner. There was some pushing and shoving. It was good stuff, and it was good to see the Sabres kind of step up on the Leafs. And there's one thing I will say. There's a lot made about the fans booing and saying "Fire Donnie" at the last game. Honestly, the performance on the ice was, it was kind of worth it. Like there was no passion from the team. There was really no pushback from the team. It felt like they quit. It felt like that, this team had quit on Donnie. And, they're really, if that's the case, then that's a decision you're going to have to make. But coming into this game, and there being a ton of Leafs fans, and the "Go Leafs Go" chant coming through loud and clear like they're in Toronto, early in the game, only to be replaced by the "We Want 10" chant by the end of the game, and lots of empty seats from Leafs fans making their way back up the QEW, was very satisfying. Very nice juxtaposition between the two games. It's, a lot can be said about the Sabres fans being mad about the Sabres performance this year, and that, it's unfair, and it's 12 years, and it's not all our fault. When you drop an effort like a 9-4 loss to Columbus, then yes, that it doesn't matter if it's 12 years or 2 months. You deserve to get booed. People deserve to be angry at you for that. But to deliver that performance tells us that you are still playing for Donnie. I think it does immediately cool down the situation. But let's say tonight they come out and they drop a 6-1 loss. I think people are tired of the back and forth of winning and losing, and us falling further and further behind in the playoff race, and being really closer and closer to the Macklin Celebrini first round draft pick. I don't think anybody really wants that. Yes, Macklin Celebrini is a very talented dude, but we've got a bevy of talented dudes in our system right now. But now is the time to go from acquiring draft picks and building to now putting those pieces in place and building a team that's winning and consistent and getting into the playoffs and competing in the playoffs. Um, so uh, hopefully at this point, there was a thing that came out that said Buffalo has like the sixth easiest schedule coming towards the end of the season. I hope so. I hope they play like they're a team that's going to take advantage of that sixth easiest schedule and just run through January because there are a lot of quote unquote easy games, although they should not look at them as easy games, and start picking up points and start catching up to these other teams and getting in the playoff conversation versus the draft lottery conversation. Stat of the night: first team in almost 40 years, almost 40 years to the day. So December 21st and 23rd of 1983, the Detroit Red Wings pulled this feat off. That was the last time it happened. But a team giving up 9 goals in one game and scoring 9 goals in the next game. The Sabres did that. 14th time in NHL history of a team doing that. Like I said, Detroit in December 21st through 23rd of 1983 did it. So good on the Sabres for turning that around. Now turning the rest of the season around will be great. For the Rangers tonight, they are 22-8-1, first place in the Metro Division and in the Eastern Conference. They are led by Artemi Panarin, leading the team in goal. He's the Triple Crown winner at this point, getting 17 goals, 26 assists, and 43 points to lead the team in all 3 categories. Igor Shesterkin leads the team in wins, but Jonathan Quick has played, I think he's played better than Igor Shesterkin so far this season. Quick leads in goals against average at 2.27 and a save percentage of 920. He's got 9 wins on the season to Shesterkin's 12. And we'll look at a moment to see who we get this game. The Rangers projected 4 lines from daily face-off. These are projections. Not sure if they're actually the lines since they played last night. And they lost last night, I think 4-3 to the Edmonton Oilers. Chad Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Blake Wheeler on that first line. Artemi Panarin, Vincent Trocheck, Alexei Lafreniere on the second line. Cooley, Bonino, Brodzinski on the third line. And VC, Goudreau, and Pitlick, largely the same lineup that we saw the last time the Sabres played them. On the forward lines, except for Brodzinski, is in for Capo Caca, who's injured. So let's see our defensive pairings for the Rangers tonight. Lindgren with Fox, Miller with Trouba, Gustafsson with Schneider. Fox is back in. He was out the last time the Sabres played the Rangers, so we'll get him in. Of course, have to watch out for that second pairing. Trouba hits and takes no prisoners. Miller is both physical and very gifted on the offensive end, so along with Adam Fox. But the Rangers have a good defensive core, and look at this team. 22-8-1, great start to the season, but one of those 8 losses is against the Buffalo Sabres after they got just absolutely demolished by the New Jersey Devils. 7-2, they come out and they win 5-1. The teams have swapped. This is their third and final meeting this season. The teams have swapped 5-1 victories in each other's barn. So the Rangers won the season opener in Buffalo 5-1, and then the Buffalo Sabres came to MSG in November, won 5-1 there. So this is the rubber match, and we'll see who comes out on top in this season series. Hopefully it's Buffalo. Hopefully we can get that second win in a row. It would be nice. These teams also do have a propensity to go to overtime. Well, they haven't done it this year. In the past couple of years, they've been going to overtime a lot. Really, ever since during the lockout seasons, they've been going to overtime a lot. So don't be surprised if they do go to overtime. But this season hasn't really borne that out. Our goalies tonight, we are getting Igor Shesterkin. So the wins leader for the Rangers, but not the statistical leaders as Jonathan Quick is that. I don't know what to make of that. Shesterkin's always played us tough. Quick's always played us tough. So we'll see what happens tonight. Our scratches for the Rangers, Capo Caco and Philip Hedel, are both on IR. So forward ranks are a little thinned out. And Caco's had kind of an up and down season. I think he was getting a little bit better, but then he got this injury. Hedel, I think he's been out for a while, so I don't think he was in the lineup the last time we played. So we'll see what's going on with him. For the Sabres, their projected forward lines tonight, no change from the last game. Skinner, Thompson, Tuck, Paterka, Cousins, Quinn, Greenway, Middlestat, Benson. Then we have Olofsson, Krebs, and Okposo rounding out the forward lines. On the defensive pairings, we've got Darlene Samuelson, Power Yoki Harju, Ryan Johnson, Connor Clifton, with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen taking the starter's net during the last practice. So expecting him to start. Devin Levi backing up in that game. And then the Sabre scratches, we've got Eric Johnson, Tyson Jost, Eric Robinson, all healthy scratches. And Skirgensen, who is skating, is still a little bit away from getting back on the ice for the Sabres. So tonight's odds for this game, the Buffalo Sabres are a 1.5 underdog on the road to the Rangers, and the over-under is 6.5. This seems to just kind of stay the same every game. So last time the Buffalo Sabres were a favorite, they lost to Arizona. So I'm okay with them being an underdog if they can keep winning. Benson is playing with big grit, man. I tell you what, a lot of times, especially in those losses, the best player on the ice, the one that's showing the most passion, the most talent, most skill on a night-to-night basis is Zach Benson. That Matt Savoy got sent down in Wenatchee should not reflect anything on Matt Savoy. It should reflect everything on Zach Benson and the fact that an 18-year-old kid is outplaying several very, very high-priced veterans on this team, and bringing the passion and the energy every night. If we can get that kind of effort out of half this lineup, this team would be unstoppable. I think we got that effort in the Toronto game. If they can do that every night, and it doesn't have to be the same guys, but at least if you can get a combination of half of your lineup doing that every night, you're going to be fine. But keys to the game, 3 keys. I'm just doing one. Keep doing what you did against the good teams. You've done well against Boston. You've done well against New York the second time you played them. It's the second time you played with Boston. You played well. Second time you played against the Rangers, you played really well. The second time you played the first time you played against the Vegas Golden Knights, you played really well. But these top teams, you played really well all season. Let's continue that. Continue to bring the A effort, not just against the really good teams. Once we get off of this game and our next game, which is against Boston after the break, we get Columbus back. And let's take it out on them. It's back in Buffalo. This is kind of the scene of the crime on December 30th. I fully expect Buffalo to really take it out on Columbus and not let Columbus do what they did on December 30th, on Tuesday, whatever date that was. On this date, December 23rd, 1989, Phil Housley picked up 5 points, a goal, and 4 assists in a 6-5 victory over the Quebec Nordiques. Rip to the Nordiques. You know what? I haven't even updated on the farm thing, so we'll talk about that when we get back from the break. I think Rochester is on a long break now. Jacksonville is. They're playing. Oh, they played last night. I'll have to check how they did, and we'll update that for the next episode. The week ahead, we've got, of course, the Rangers tonight, Boston on the 27th, and then Columbus, not Colorado. I should have said CBJ for that, but Columbus on December 30th. That is the week ahead. Enjoy your 4 days off. Our next episode is going to be next Wednesday against the Boston Bruins. We'll do a little bit of review of some of the World Junior Hockey Championship games to give you some of the stats of how our players are doing in that tournament, who's, what the standings are in the tournament. We'll kind of keep up with that as we go through the next few games towards the end of the year and the first week of the new year. But yeah, so 6:30 p.m. It's a 7:30 start on Wednesday against the Boston Bruins, and look forward to getting Sabres hockey back that night. I appreciate everybody. Look, it's we are December 23rd, and we're getting close to Christmas. It doesn't matter what you celebrate. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. I hope you have a good time with family and friends if you can. If you can't, I hope you have a good time however you want to spend having a good time. But treat yourself, have a good time, get through the end of the year, and we'll start anew with a new year and more hockey. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So thanks for watching tonight, whether you're on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Give us a like, a share, a subscribe. We really appreciate it. It helps boost the algorithm of not only this show, but our other show. And our other show helps boost the algorithm of this show. So whatever you're doing, give us a like, share, subscribe. Smash that subscribe button, as the kids say. And we will be back on Wednesday with the Scabbard. Have a good one, everybody.